Hello guys, welcome back. Welcome to this chapter review of Black Clover, chapter 264, again from raw translation, which means take the translations with a grain of salt, and anything that is proven to be different in the official translation, we'll cover that in future videos. That being said, without further ado, let's get into the review. So, another great chapter from Black Clover. There's a few tidbits and a few things that I liked about this chapter. We will go through them. There's probably things that I've missed and I haven't picked up, or maybe I need to read through and see again. But I actually really liked this chapter for a few different reasons. Number one, what I liked about this chapter was effectively what it does is it kind of reminds the reader of things we may have forgotten. So it reminds us of the types of magic that the three dark triad have. So we know that Zenon's got bone magic and teleporting magic. We know that Dante has body and gravity magic, and we know that Vanica has her curse magic and her blood magic. Now this is actually a quite interesting tidbit because it kind of feels like, I don't know if the reader or an assistant or the editor has been sitting in these Reddit or these forums about these chapters, because it seems like they want to just cut out some of the misconceptions and even misconceptions of my own. To kind of explain, if you've watched some of my previous videos, one of the assumptions I had was that possibly to gain the ability of this dark demon magic, you'd have to give up your own magic. This proves otherwise, because this shows that each of the dark triad has two magic types, ones that they originally had and ones that they gained through this possession or some type of ritual. It doesn't, however, explain what happened with Nacht, because Nacht of the Night or of the Shadows had a different ability based on what Jack the Ripper said or was going to say, and now he doesn't. So could this possibly mean that something different was done with Nacht? This might still lead into what I was talking about in Theory Time, where Asta possibly was some type of test, a guinea pig, of how to do things before they did the ability testing on themselves. So that was the first thing that I really liked, because it clarified that. It reminded us as readers to bear this in mind. So they're different. They have two types of abilities. We then also get told about a limitation of Nacht's abilities, and Nacht basically says, yeah, I can infiltrate with my magic, but I can only take a few people. So how this works, I don't know. Maybe this is just limitation of training, or maybe it is literally just a case of the more people he takes, the slower it is to get about, or the harder it is to get about. So, but the fact that he's mentioned that kind of is a nice plot point to say, okay, we can't take the whole army, we need to take so many people. Because if you think about it from a narrative point of view as well, what if another force attacks maybe the Diamond Kingdom if they've got off their hospital beds, or maybe there's a diversion, the second army for the Spade Kingdom attacks while they're distracted in the Spade capital. These all things are easily avoidable if you don't take everybody. Doesn't mean that they're going to be the most effective, the ones that they leave behind, if they're taking the strongest force. It just means there's somebody to defend the capital should the worst case happen. So I like the fact that they address that as well. The next bit is probably the best bit, because it does two things. Number one, Yuno gets up and says, yes, I want to help. I loved it. One, because he gets a chance for revenge, which ultimately, from the foil for the main character, you need that person there along for the ride to develop and get stronger. As Asa's getting stronger, for there to be a meaningful rivalry later on down the line. Sure, he's more talented. Sure, he's got the sylph. Sure, he's got all this mana and good looks and, royalty and everything else. But he also still needs to grow for him to be a worthy rival down the line for Asta to become not the Pirate King, the Wizard King in the future. But that's not the part that I actually really liked. What I really liked is how the author used this situation to really deal with something that in normally other stories comes back to bite you. The first thing is, who is his identity. This, they talk about, well, there was a person from the Spade King that's come to here, which Nacht would know because he's essentially there. He's came here, you're hiding him. Who are you really? I'm the prince. This is what's happened. The royalties were getting killed. They sent me away. That's one is a good thing because they've got the issue resolved there and then. Now the knights know about it. Now the captains know about it. Now the former Wizard King knows about it. It's no longer going to be something that can be used against them in the most crucial moment if they found out later on. So that's very important, and I really like how they addressed that. The fact that the Sylph was annoyed as well and she's building up her power is really important as well, because not only did Yuno get knocked back and put in his place, so did the Sylph. So that kind of embarrassment has now made the Sylph more serious as well. It's like she literally says in the chapter that she's building up power to take that guy down. So this is going to reinforce any kind of reserves for Yuno to do more damage. This is automatically going to be a boost. Forget what else he's going to learn the next 2 days. We don't know that, but that's automatically like a power boost for him, which is good. And then the speech about William. This was really good because it addresses that elephant in the room about William. He basically says what the captains are thinking, that William wasn't really a human, wasn't really an elf, betrayed the kingdom, but was trying to make amends. And from like I was specifically saying about the reason why he got defeated, one of the reasons ultimately was he was protecting his squad, and this is reinforced here. So again, it's kind of like saying, look, readers, I know what you're gonna say. They're strong, but captains can have a go at them, because you've got to bear in mind that this is what's happened. And I really like that, the fact that he was so passionate, he was so caring for his crew, that he put his life on the line and ultimately led him to be captured. So there's those redeeming factors that you like to see in a person. We see them now through Yuno's experience and why he wants to follow and protect William and bring him back. This is what also resonates with Nacht. Nact's like, I like you, cool. Then we also get told an interesting tidbit. This is, we're going in 2 days in the morning. I'm not quite sure why it's 2 days, but the only thing that this leads me to believe is because we've been told it's going to start in 3 days, that this 1 day difference may mean that this battle's quite drawn out, and we might get this whole 19 hours to go, 17 hours to go, 15 hours to go type of kind of story-driven narrative that kind of builds the suspense the closer we get to that time. Otherwise, why would they need to go a day earlier? Why wouldn't they go on the day? Why wouldn't they go, maybe 2 days early? The 24 hours thing leads me to believe that that's going to be a thing. Then they talk about reinforcements. Obviously, they're not going to ask the Diamond Kingdom, because the Diamond Kingdom has been decimated, and Mars hasn't had that kind of influence on them yet, and they're still trash. And that being said, we've lost all kind of contact with them, which leads Nacht to say, yeah, well, everybody was out, so they probably got attacked by Vanica, which everyone was like freaking out, what's going on? And then the ending. The ending is really good, because I remember, I believe it was last week, I was reading either on Manga Plus or on Reddit, that basically they're going to need more than just captains to help. And like William's in trouble, like he's been trying to redeem himself, this is going to be an opportunity for the elves to redeem themselves. And what better force to bring with you for people that have been affected by the demons to come, and the elves to come and destroy the demons as well. And we see this. So we see Noella waking up, and essentially she's like, oh, they're like, finally you've woken up. And she looks up, and there's Patria or Tree, depending on what translation you use, Fanar, Laya, and Veto. And the fact that they're there further reinforces that they're going to play a big role. And what they're going to really teach her, I don't know. It'll be interesting regardless. I really would like to see how this transpires, what's going to happen next. We're going to have to wait till next week. Because this is a raw translation, there may be panels missing, but ultimately, I think this does cover the essence of what happens in this chapter. And these cliffhangers, just love to have these cliffhangers in Black Clover. It's going from 0 to 100 really quickly. There doesn't seem to be enough time for training, but I'm hoping that the training that they manage to do in the next 2 days is such a contributing factor that we see a major power boost from Astra as well. But as always, thank you very much for watching the video. For those that have got this far, like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.